Let's go. Okay, so welcome to another vlog, another fungi foray. As you can see, I've got this good fungus cap, fruiting growth in my sights of the Fuji, with its set up with the 55 to 200 mm lens. I've got f8, 1/15 for the 1/8 of a second rather. I'm going to go focus stack manually. I don't really can see, but the environment is basically an industrial one. So over the way, that's the local industrial park where my car is in for MOT. Hopefully nothing serious happening there. But it's actually a fantastic location for fungi. They are literally everywhere here. Just literally, you can hardly move for stepping on them. I'm trying to be careful not to step on more fungi. Coming up here, but interestingly, there are these which I don't recognise, and there's several groups of them. There's also puffball. So yes, several groups of that rather unusual fungus. But there's fungi everywhere, in this little location. Not very prepossessing, but ideal because it's got birch, which is a good host for fungi. So, but anyway, getting on with the first image, I'm going to put the camera back to life again. And you can see the setup here, 1/8 of a second. So I'm going to start with a focus on the that corner there, then move to the front of the cap, middle of the cap, back of the cap, and the background, all at f8. I'm going to set the 2-second timer. There we go. It's the first image. Now I'm going to move the focus point to the front of the cap. Focus the camera. Take the second image. Move the focus point to the middle of the cap. Take the third image. To the back of the cap. You can see the little red highlights, possibly not a very good bit out of focus. Come back a bit. And then finally, one to the background moss. You can see the red highlights moving. 2-second timer. And bosh, one image in the bag. So I'm going to turn around and see what else I can do. So this second group of fungi, the small sort of rather oddly shaped grey one, it is here, got lined up with the 55 to 200 at 200, doing f5.6. I'm going to automatically focus stack this. I set it to 10 images, and I'm going to do a 2-second timer. So here we go. That's 1/15 of a second, f5.6, ISO 200 mm, equivalent 35 mm, 300 mm. Doesn't look anything much in life, but I think it'll be interesting when it becomes a full-size image. Just at the moment, I'm seeing fungi popping up literally everywhere. So yes, that's definitely a puffball, common puffball. There's possibly another one just over there, but you can see various little fungi. There looks interesting, doesn't it? Okay, so back down to this clump of small candle snuff type fungus. I've now got the Zeiss Touit macro lens on. We're at 1/15 of a second and f7.1. This is going to be a much deeper focus stacked image because we're much closer, the depth of field is much narrower, but the same principles apply. Let's see if we can get some picture. So there we are, we're all set up. We're on electronic shutter, of course. Focus stack is in the window there. I focus on the very front point of the fungus. Actually, in fact, I might move it, the focus point over to just there. It's maybe just slightly in front. Yes, you can see the little red highlights. You probably can't. So many reflections at that point. So hopefully that will be a deep enough stack to capture it all. Let's go. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to set the 2-second timer because Fuji has the unfortunate habit of cancelling it. Now, I suppose that may be a benefit if you were a wildlife photographer or sports photographer, but as a landscaper, it's pretty irritating. So I'm going to do that again just in case there was some shake imparted by my finger there. So I'll have two sets of hopefully identical images. We'll inspect the very last image when it comes out the camera to see whether that is sharp at the right point, i.e. just behind, and I think it is, so I think that'll do for that. So that's 2 shots. I have to decide what's the next composition. Okay, composition number 3 is this common puffball, Lycoperdum edulis, I believe the scientific name is. Now I've artfully arranged some fallen birch leaves from the nearby birch, which is probably its food plant. You can just see the base of the trunk there. I say food plant. These are either saprophytic or sometimes pathological organisms that kill trees, but I don't think the puffball does. It tends to grow in a range of hardwood trees, so more used to see it under things like beech. But anyway, so we've still got the Zeiss macro lens on. Try not to change lenses too much today because it's sort of foggy and drizzling. Actually, the fog is thickening. I wouldn't mind getting into some woodland really to take some more images, but let's get this one in the bag first. So I'm going to start with a straightforward single exposure. We've got f11, we've got, well, we did have until the camera switched itself off very kindly. So f11, ISO 200, we've got 1/4 of a second. You can see by the little red highlights that most of the actual fungus is in focus. If I press the depth of field button, that shows that a lot of the image is in focus, so I'm going to leave it like that for the minute, and I'm going to take this exposure now. Set the 2-second timer, which has switched itself off again. So here we go. So there we go. Let's check that focus. And certainly the front leaf, back leaves are starting to go out of focus there. Isn't such a big deal, I think, with that. I think what we'll do now is we'll do a focus stack. So switch to bracket. I've already set up focus stacking, but I'm going to perhaps change it a bit. So I'm going to go down to f8. That will allow us to increase the shutter speed to an 1/8, but of course we'll get shallower depth of field, so we will need focus stack now. So menu, custom setting, drive, bracket setting, focus bracket. I don't want 30, I'm going to go to 20 shots, step 8, interval 0. So we're all set, let's go. And you can see that the final image should hopefully be in focus at the point. Yes, and I think that's good enough. Certainly the actual fungus itself is well out of focus, so that will work. Okay, let's put this down. Okay, so we're set up again now. So once again I'm going to start with a single image. I'm going to do f11, 1/8 of a second. Delay time is still on. I've done a little bit of what they call gardening, i.e. remove some leaves. I've got grass leaves in front of the fungus, just to give us a clearer view. Of course there are debates about whether that's a sensible thing to do or not. Certainly you need to be careful not to damage your subject in any way. So okay, without further ado, first image taken. Switch back to bracket now. We'll open it up by a stop. That will allow us to increase the shutter speed, but I think it's getting a bit dark, so we're going to go for a 13th of a second. Rearrange the leaves slightly. We're on focus stack, so there we go. So there we are. I think that's that subject dealt with. Let's move on. Images coming up if they're okay. So I have the XT-2 set up. There are 2 or 3 of these interesting fungi here, which I think is a kind of puffball, and it's got these interesting sort of arms that obviously open up and exposes the inner dome with the little hole where the spores come out of, and I'm going to see if I can try and get some with spores, but I may not be able to, and I don't want to damage the fungus. So I'm going to get the picture first. I'm going to try first of all back to f11. I'm going to be at 0.25 of a second, and so 2.5. What's that? 2.5. 2 second timer. Zeiss macro. Focus on the front of the fruiting body, and I'm going to take the picture. Okay. It's still in focus. Okay. Well, go back to single image. And, just going to move the point of focus to the little dome where the spores might come out of. I'm going to open her up to second. Just interesting to see where this comes out. Okay, so we found another of these strange puffballs. This one's in quite a good location. It's well mature, so I'm not going to touch it. I've got a composition set up. Now I'm going to manually focus stack this one. So F8, half a second, ISO 200, focused on the little ivy leaf that's just in front of the actual puffball. So I'm going to take one for that, one for the front of the cleaver or cap, one for the hole and one for the background. Hopefully that'll be ideal. So without further ado, there's a little creature in there somewhere. I think that doesn't interfere with the subject. Yeah. So first image is the leaf. Second image just on the front of the actual fungus fruiting body. Next image, the actual opening. And the final image, fungus. And done. Okay, that's our wrap for now.